Find the other day. So, anyways, this expensive bat, I started wearing out the barrel because I hit it on the barrel every time, and it splintered so bad. I sent a message to the company, and I was like, "Hey, can you replace this?" And they're like, "We don't replace bats from bad hits." I was like, I took a picture and sent it to him. I was like,
Now you guys know what we deal with before every episode starts.
Do we really?
Adam's grievances with baseball manufacturing.
They said they had never seen anything like that, so they're giving me that.
Oh, wow. Big win.
Yeah, your wife said the same thing too, so I get it.
Yeah.
Big win. All right. Well, this is Clickbait Sports, a sports show that really every week people say, why does this exist? And we say, don't know.
I asked the same thing.
Don't know, but we're here. And it's been a weird week in the NFL. It would have been a rough week without the Damar Hamlin news. A lot's happened. So today, I think everybody got their channels linked up to support Uche's charity for today's episode. So that's what we're going to be doing. And we do have, I guess, good news right now, positive news with Damar Hamlin. Kind of happened early this morning based on his progression and what the doctors have relayed to us. So, we're going to talk a little bit about that today. And then, maybe we'll get into talking just a bunch of crap to each other like we normally do. Don't know. Yeah. Don't really have a plan for today, but we're here with Scooter. We're here with Grossi. We're here with 5 Points. We're here with the tree that pisses and never misses.
I miss. I hit the seat a couple times, so
yeah.
I wouldn't say never misses.
You're like a fire hose that's out of control. Just a lot of missing from lots of missing.
I
just want to say, it's been a bizarre week. You have that clip, that montage ready, right, Brandon?
By the way. Yeah, I gotta bring that in.
Anyways, the whole look. I'll just rewind to last week.
Yeah. Update anybody who doesn't know.
Yeah.
Kind of happened with you guys.
Every Tuesday and Wednesday, Tree and I host the Dumpster Fire. It's another show. And during the football season, Uche Waniri, an ex-NFL lineman, would join us. And we would do an NFL tier maker, and we would rank all the teams. And this was for 2 years. And he went home to visit his wife and kids in Indiana. And we found out on Monday that he had passed away. So it was very shocking to us. It was obviously unexpected. He was only 38 years old. The one thing that I've been really kind of gripping with is like, when you have someone that might be sick or there's a prolonged illness, like you have time to say goodbye to them. You have time to make whatever. And obviously, we didn't have any beef or anything with.
Yeah, we had
Uche,
no warning.
You can.
We expected him to be back this week.
Right, and it was very surreal to find out that he had passed away. It was sudden. He was taken from us far too soon. But
we both found out on Twitter, pretty much.
Yeah, and that's even more.
Which is, it's hard to read that it just came up like, wait, what?
Yeah. So then, we find this out, and then Monday night, I'm like, hey, what's good? I'll watch some football. I'll distract myself. Uche's, probably watching too from upstairs. Like, I wanted to remember Uche and just get my mind off of football. And then I tune into the game, and a bunch of players are on the field surrounding another player, and it was just a surreal scene. traumatizing for anyone that was there. Obviously, I'm not going to try to.
I couldn't focus, to be honest with you. Like it was hard. Well, not just from Damar, but also because of what I went through.
Right, and then going to bed that night. A lot of us have experienced a trauma in their family, and you're just wondering, like, wow, like I honestly thought that it was really bad. I thought it was more severe than it is, but we all held out hope, and today we got the great news that Damar,
shockingly great news, to be honest with you. I thought he was going to be brain dead.
Responsive. I mean, think about it. He was unconscious, unresponsive for 9 minutes. Okay. 9 minutes. 9 seconds is a long amount of time. Is my eye bleeding?
No, not really.
Anyways.
Can't really see anything.
And so for him to experience that, and obviously, and then for today to be awake, it's tremendous news. So I'm very happy that we actually have some good news today.
Yeah, and it's it's one of those things that it's you got to be cautiously optimistic because there's still a lot going on, and the recovery is still there's a lot to go through. But the fact that there was something positive, and it was big, and the press conference from it was positive, and I think like that helped just sort of raise the level of I don't know, like just the collective energy across, I think, the entire NFL and the league, and like the fact that the first thing he asked about was if they won the game, I think is like the thing that could bring a smile to anyone's face who heard that.
I don't think that he knew that the game got called off. I mean, he had been in the hospital for like 2 days.
Yeah, but it's just like that's like a competitor. You're waking up, coming to, and one of the first things on your mind is,
did we win
the damn game, guys? Like, what was the score? Like, that's gotta make you feel good. But I'm sure we'll learn more over the next week as it progresses. And now, like, the NFL's in a weird spot where they're resuming the final week of the season and they're going into the playoffs, and then they have to figure out all of this stuff logistically. So
TV contracts tend to make it a little muddy because you can't just delay a week because you have those commitments with different TV networks. You have to have all the logistics of stadium play, reservations of teams. Maybe certain other stadiums will have concerts in them as well. So there's an entire logistical nightmare that came in because like the NFL is just like concrete, like boom, 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 boom.
Before we get too far into the discussion on Hamlin, don't we have a video? Do we have something of that nature, Brandon?
Yes, I'm working on compressing it right now.
Oh, okay.
You don't want to share a screen?
You like compressing
it was
stuff,
too big to import, and
okay, my bad. I didn't know I was blowing up your spot. We can continue. I didn't know. That's on me.
Thanks, guys. We've already hit our $100 goal. Thank you.
Adam's like, hey, why don't you host the show, and also why don't you do all the technical shit on the back end? See how you butcher that, Perna.
I have to give a shout out to Inject Chicken, who gave a $500 donut to the
wow.
Inject.
Speaking of that, I hope that they film when Damar finds out that his charity raised, what is it, $6 million now?
It's like $7 million.
$7 million for a toy drive. The original goal was $2,500. He's like, all right, let me.
We are currently at almost $7.5 million. We're 50,000 away from 7.5.
What's your ETA on this video, Brandon? Because we can get into this.
Get into it.
Okay. Yeah. So let's get into it then.
Please.
Because I've seen a variety of different opinions on this subject when it comes to Damar Hamlin. So one of the main things that I saw, which of course was the Skip tweet. So if we guys want to discuss this tweet, I have opinions on this. So for those unaware, after Damar Hamlin went down, a lot of people took to Twitter. And Skip Bayless was one of these people. And he made a tweet that a lot of people did not agree with. A lot of people thought was inflammatory, and just really poor timing. I'm trying to find it right now.
Yeah, I don't think we necessarily need to read it. Like, I'll tell you this, Scooter. Like, well, yeah, actually, I'll let you say your opinion, but I have an opinion as well. Apparently, my opinion got me suspended from Twitter
Well, Twitter suspended
because
everybody.
it was so strong that they did not disagree. They did not agree with my language when it came to Skip. I think I reacted a little strongly about it.
How long
here's
were
the
you
tweet.
suspended?
I'll let Scooter read it, and then I'll tell my little
Okay,
story.
so here's the tweet. And he tweeted some other stuff before this, okay? But the tweet is, no doubt the NFL is considering postponing the rest of this game. But how? This late in the season, a game of this magnitude is crucial to the regular season outcome, which suddenly seems so irrelevant. So a lot of people were upset about this. You know, if you're just looking at that, that doesn't sound that bad. But it is the timing which was very poor, and the fact that you're leading with, well, what about this game? When, in a lot of people's opinions, your sole focus should have been on the safety and health of Damar Hamlin. This is a game. This is a human being. You're thinking about the wrong things at this moment. What was your guys' reaction when you saw this tweet and you saw some of the backlash too? Because I got a couple people saying, hey, what he said is not that bad. You're just misinterpreting it. So how did you guys interpret that when you saw it?
Well, I'll share. Basically, it's typical Skip Bayless, an inflammatory tweet timed to be inflammatory, and it's just that mentality that he has of, hey, can I make, how do I make this about me, and I don't know, I'm not sure if he consciously thinks that, but that's what he kind of did in that moment. And again, it was poorly worded. He wanted to start with the most controversial thing. It's something that we can obviously think about, right? You're seeing a player down, and you're saying, you're hearing these things where it's like, oh, they have 5 minutes to warm up. I was like, ain't no way that they're coming out. Like, I saw, Joe Burrow like started throw a ball on the sideline, and his body language said, I don't want to be doing this. And then that's when they just kind of stopped and went back into the locker room. But again, it's about Skip Bayless making it about him when he's not. And like, look, I can't. I'm done caring about Skip Bayless because, again, I went on Twitter. I saw that tweet. My first response was a bunch of FUs, a bunch of, usually I ignore your tweets, Skip, but, because I usually ignore that kind of stuff and I don't say anything. But I went on a rant, and then the next morning I wake up and Twitter says you have to delete that tweet and you're suspended for 6 hours, which became 12 hours. And then, so I'm not going to let other people ruin my day. So if somebody else wants to expunge their dumb opinion, I'm not going to respond to it. I'm not going to give it light anymore. I learned firsthand why my hubris could have consequences. So I'm done talking about it. Y'all can talk about it.
I want to add some things to what Five is saying. There was someone who posted an Instagram story. I forget who it was. But basically, they said the reason why so many people are upset at Skip is because of his history. This man has a history of demeaning, degrading, saying negative, horrible things about athletes, so he doesn't get the benefit of the doubt. Maybe someone else tweets the same thing, and they don't have that history, so they are given grace. They are given the benefit of the doubt. Oh, he actually probably did actually have this player's safety in mind, but also he's thinking about the NFL scheduling. So I think that adds a lot to it. Just knowing historically, Skip has never been for the players. So
I think we just found our next punishment, guys.
M is, oh boy.
80 for Brady. That sounds like a Grossi punishment. We have to go for the trifecta, man.
They all sound like Grossi punishments, don't they?
Actually, it could be a Perna punishment too.
did you guys see that clip also of the former player who was talking about the real issue that no one's really talking about in the NFL? You guys aware of what I'm talking about?
Is it the one with the
No.
Cleveland commentator, I think?
Yeah.
I did not see that. I was
I
So
think I just saw it about an
basically-
hour ago.
all we're looking at Damar Hamlin, right? And we're all saying, "Oh, this is bad. This is a terrible situation." But we should also be looking at some of the rules that the NFL has as it relates to disabled players. And so this former player brought up this point that Damar Hamlin doesn't have a not tenure. What is it called?
It's a vet. You got to be a vested.
He's not a vet.
Yeah.
He doesn't get a pension. He does not get a pension. And because of that, who knows what's going to happen with Damar Hamlin in the future
Yeah. Well,
and his
I know
future earning ability. Go on, Brandon.
that's an issue for sure. And I think the NFL has already come out and said that they're going to take care of whatever medical costs he has moving forward, that he'll be given that same opportunity to have their financial support like a vested player. I believe I heard that on NFL Network one of these mornings when I was listening. But it's a real thing where he's going to get it because the injury was so significant, but also because probably the attention that was brought to it. So it's more of a question of how do they fix that, I think, moving forward, when it's guys who suffer different injuries that never allow them to play in the league long enough to get that. And if there can be something done to help them as they navigate to, different careers and things like that.
But what this guy was saying, to your point, Brandon, and I wish I had the clip on hand, but what he was saying is basically that the NFL is being ingenuine in their support and care for those people who are disabled. Because if you look at the new CBA agreement, it's not really for player safety and health. If you look at how many people have been paid out, I wish I had this information on hand, but it's like if you look at the disabled people who have been paid their money, it's only like 6% of the people who actually filed got their money that they are owed. So it's like the NFL is not paying these people who are disabled, and they're having to fight and claw to get their money. And this issue is what is shining a bright light on it. And even now, it's like some people aren't even seeing that. The NFL doesn't really have a great history when it comes to disabled players and taking care of them. So this is going to be fascinating because a lot of people are saying, wait, let's talk about this. What about this now? So you say you care, but how come you haven't paid everyone out yet? So,
Yeah, I mean, go ahead.
Go ahead. James?
I was just going to segue into transitioning to you, Adam. I was going to say,
Oh.
yeah, thank you for bringing that up, Scooter. What kind of thoughts do you have on that, Adam?
Oh, that's what you were going to say?
Or Tom or Tree?
Tom hasn't said a word today. Tom.
Damn it! I was seeing how long I could go, and that was pretty good. That was pretty solid.
20 minutes.
Yeah, that was
good.
Oh, man. All right. Yeah. I reacted negatively when Skip tweeted that out because I don't think the context was appropriate to tweet it out, and then it was made worse the next day. But I will be very honest with you. I don't care about Skip Bayless. I've never cared about Skip Bayless. I've never watched a second of his show. I get tagged in his stuff all the time, but I just don't care enough to watch it. So it doesn't impact me. I told him to shut the F up. I wound up deleting it in the morning because I thought the only thing that should have been on my Twitter was literally the fundraising stuff. So I just deleted that crap and we moved along and had a nice day. But in terms of the NFL, yeah. But in terms of the NFL, I mean, this is something Kurt Benkert and even I have talked about because so he's a P Squad player for him to get vested, he needs to be on the active roster for at least 3 games. So he's still searching for that because like Atlanta did him a favor and they elevated him, I think, a game or 2 years ago. But it's, a problem because you have a lot of these players who either get injured or like their careers are cut short or what have you. And like, there's no backup plan there. And like, you could argue, right, listen, with athletes, sometimes they're in the league for a really long time and they just misspend their money or they make bad investments, what have you. But this is a different scenario. This is young players who are like, okay, we're going to do this as a career. Then something happens and they're unable to do it. And now they're just like, well, now I have this ailment, this disability, what have you. And I also don't have insurance. I also don't have any kind of safety net. So yeah, no, I mean, this has been a problem for a real long time. And just the NFL has gotten away with not doing anything about it because I don't think their feet are ever held to the fire. And it is a different scenario, but it reminds me of like pro wrestlers, like they're technically contracted workers. So because of that, like they fall under a whole different thing. And like, honestly, with the NFL, we always complain about how big they are, how much money they have, how lucrative these TV contracts are. They have the money to make the game better. And I think one of the most important investments that they could make is in their players, because ultimately that will make the game better.
And something they could easily do, something that a lot of people have suggested that would solve a lot of these problems, is simply to make contracts guaranteed.
The problem is you're not going to do that. They will never do that except for a few guaranteed situations. The only way to fix that is with the CBA negotiation, and the NFLPA kind of bent over backwards because they threw them a few bones, a couple extra spots, a couple extra pieces of practice squad, weed testing, a raised salary. Like, here's my question. If you really care about the players, why does the franchise tag still exist?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, the problem is you don't care.
It's like,
and I mean, I get you're getting paid a lot of money, but still.
Flesh that out, Tree. Why does a franchise tag go against player?
Well, it goes against where they want to go, and in a way, it's like kind of against.
There's that, but that's fully guaranteed, right? So like the franchise tag is fully guaranteed, but they also, because that's a recent change, they also made the 5th-year option fully guaranteed now. So you can keep rookies 1 extra year if they're drafted in the first round. That used to not be fully guaranteed money, but now it is. So, I mean, like, that is a good thing. But again, you have to also be in the league for 3 years. And at the end of the 3rd year, they decide if they want to pick it up or not. So,
yeah. And it's usually the 5th-year option is less than what you would pay that player if they were to have become a free agent or you extended them.
Yeah, it's the average that they take. So like it depends on how much play, because I had to do this with Jordan Love. So because like trying to estimate what his 5th-year option is going to be, it's basically the average depending on like how many snaps you've taken, like how many games you've played. And then it's the average of like a bunch of different positions. Like, let's just say it's quarterback. Depending on where you fall on that scale, it's like an average between like the 3rd and like 20th highest paid or what have you. And they get some number. It's very convoluted. I did an episode a while ago about it.
They always want it to be complicated. So we simple-minded sports fans can't understand it. That's what I'm convinced.
Sure.
Look at the salary cap. Your team has $7. They just signed 8 players to multi-year contracts. How'd they do it? Magic. As far as I'm concerned,
what happens is they just restructure it because the cap keeps raising up.
Yeah, they know.
At the end of the day, the salary cap is nothing but a social construct.
They know how to say, hey, look, on the contract, you might make $7 million, but we'll donate $1 million to
your charity fund. Like it's what Tom Brady did. Like we'll pay you $20 million, but we'll donate like $5 to $10 million to the
team. We will provide you with a vehicle and unlimited cheese whiz, and you're just like, all right, $2 million cheese whiz,
cellular data minutes every month, as long as you're part of the team.
So we know that Damar Hamlin is doing better now. He's feeling better. He's responsive, but now it begs the question: what is the NFL going to do to get the schedules back on track? What do you guys think?
The way you're,
I don't know. We need more Avril Lavigne references on this.
Yes,
show. I'm convinced.
Honestly,
he hates singing that song.
Life's like this.
Who was a skater boy? Why did he see "See You Later, Boy"?
I
Was
don't
he
know.
not good
Here's our
enough for
question.
her?
Nope.
Was he
How
not
many
good enough
people in
for her?
life get to let their ex crush eat crow like that, like Skater Boy did? Because she saw him on the TV just shredding, and he's like, yeah, that's right. Dump me now. Anyways,
Is that what that song
I
was
think
about?
I think the NFL was put in a really precarious position. However, one thing that I saw that was really lacking during the situation as it was happening was the lack of like direct involvement from up above. Like they were letting the people on the field decide when Roger Goodell should have really just stepped in and be like, all right, this is what we were doing. We're going to call the game. It's going to be done. Aside from that, I think there's just obviously they're not going to replay the game. They're not, and I know seeding and all that stuff is hanging in the balance. They'll should just call it a no contest and just base. To me, what they should do is just base the math off of whatever the records are. If that game just never happened,
If it's win percentage,
and
base it off win
right.
percentage.
And if the Chiefs are the top seed, so be it. Like, I'm sorry.
I think if it is no contest, I think technically the Bills still have a chance of the number 1 seed.
Right.
I think because of win percentage. It would have to be a 1 and in.
Yeah, just whatever the math is from that game just being deleted. Because it was unfortunate. We're very fortunate that Damar Hamlin is responding positively, and that there was not an awful consequence of what happened. But you got to move on, unfortunately. And to me, there's no makeup, there's no concessions should be made. It's just it was a thing that happened, and I know I might sound callous or insensitive, but to me that's what's fair, and to me fairness is very important.
Tom, do you agree with that assessment
About just
what the NFL should
leading
do
the game
going forward?
So there's been a lot of things. So there was a rumor going around today, and thankfully it looks like that was dispelled about them adding an 8th seed, but they just had the NFLPA executive director said that they've not proposed an idea of adding an 8th team. So I didn't really think they'd ever do that. Or at least not on the fly like that. So that's not an option. I think honestly what you have to do is just, the game doesn't count. It's a no contest, and you just take it from there. I think one of the other important things is that the Buffalo Bills, like they just tweeted out too, like Sean McDermott and Josh Allen is like, they're like, we want to play football. Like Damar Hamlin's dad wants us to play football. It's what he wants. Like, we're not gonna let him down. Like, we want to play football. So it is a home game too for the Bills against the Patriots on Sunday. So that stadium is going to be,
and they are going to be the Bills themselves are going to be like just.
It is going to be a very emotional Sunday, and it's going to be an emotional game. So, I think that the good news is that we're getting some reasons to be cautiously optimistic, right? The signs that we're seeing are good. They are positive, not out of the woods yet. And that's great. That's wonderful. And so now it's like, okay, how do we return to some type of normalcy? And I think like that's going to start this weekend. I wouldn't want to be part of the NFL right now and trying to figure this out because it's super messy. I saw other rumors that they would have like the 1 seed choose between home field advantage or a first round bye. And then the second seed like gets to just choose like whatever the first didn't. It's messy. I mean, like that's just that's just logistics.
They talked about adding an 8th seed, which
and now that thankfully that's just been dispelled. Thankfully,
good. They should not.
Well, they talk about neutral site.
They talk about neutral site for the AFC Championship game if it came to that. So I think at the end of the day, like, listen, the NFL is gonna get some flack for regardless of like what they do, but I'm gonna give them a little leeway here. Like, this is not a situation that they were prepared for, regardless of the sport. So. I think they're just kind of doing what they can, and that not everyone's going to be happy about it, but it's just the reality that they got to figure something out.
Did you
guys
seem
like in terms of seeding, the only fair thing to do is not let the Chiefs in the playoffs?
I agree.
I agree.
They just removed Kansas City from the playoffs.
Tell you what, remove Kansas City, get the Steelers the 7th seed, and then the Steelers advance past the Chiefs.
What really hurt?
Even it out on the NFC side, Bucks also gone.
No, I take the Packers and Cowboys out too.
Whoa.
Tom, you do not deserve to make the playoffs this year. Trust me.
That's fair.
Packers and Steelers
from a
Super Bowl
Steelers
trade. I
fan.
thought we had this down. I thought we made.
Well, it's an what if scenario, dude. Come on.
What was I gonna? Oh, yes. What really is bad about this though is the Bills really needed to be the number 1 seed. You've seen their runs in the playoffs the last couple years. They lost on the road. They lost in Kansas City, twice, I think, because going into Arrowhead is a tough place to play. So the Bills really needed
pretty
to
well
get
there.
the AFC, but they needed the AFC Championship to be on their turf. They also needed to not give up 3 points in 13 seconds. But what they need, they needed it worse than anyone, and it sucks. But again, come Super Bowl, we won't even.
Once again, there still is a chance for them to gain the number 1 seed if it is a no contest.
Yeah. Well, then I think that's even more fair. That
The
they
Bills
still have
They still control their own destiny.
That team has gone through like a lot of outside forces affecting their football team. From like the blizzard that moved the game. Well, there's been 2 blizzards. The blizzard that moved the game, which rolled into like a weird week where they just stayed in Detroit and they played like 3 games in such a short amount of time. Like before all of this, like I'd been talking about, and I think Tom and I talked about like how battle tested the team was based on like all of these things that just are just kind of weird scenarios. So, and this is like just one more of those things that the teams had to go through. And hopefully it's one of those things that kind of galvanizes, the team and brings them all together. And I think the other guy I wanted to talk about before like we move on from it is Denny Kellington, who was the assistant athletic trainer who administered the CPR to Damar Hamilton and
Hamlin. Yes.
Like, they brought attention to what he did on the field to save his life today. And that's just like, there's a lot of people across the country that do that for their jobs. They're first responders. There's people that do that all the time, and they obviously aren't going to get the attention, that they deserve. But to know like he was out there and made those decisions in real time on that stage with somebody's life in the balance, and that he did everything right. Like when we're talking about criticizing the NFL from the top and maybe the way they handled it, the bottom line is the guys that were there and on the field did everything necessary to save Damar Hamlin's life and get him to the hospital on time. And now they're putting, some names and faces to some of the people who were just heroes in those situations. So,
and in addition to that, the NFL also mandated, I don't know if you guys saw that information, but the NFL had put into place something so that one person would be in control if a situation like this happened, so that they could respond quicker and there's not a chain of command, who's in charge, who's doing what. So as much as we want to dog on the NFL sometimes, they did have that in place, the chain of command like that. I don't know about you guys, but something I also did after this happened was just go back and look like, what did the NFL do in previous situations where players went down or got injured? What was the response back then? Did any of you guys do anything like that and see like how a similar situation happened and they just played the game? And it wasn't
there a player that had a really bad hit earlier this year? That
it was.
Tua had that really bad concussion on Thursday night football.
The other player that he got like folded back like really badly. I think he was a Bill. And they had to. It was not Shazier. This was recent.
I mean, Micah Hyde had a neck injury this year.
Yeah, that was preseason, I thought.
Yeah, I'm just trying to remember.
I believe it was
Dane Jackson. That was it. Yeah. And
he was actually okay.
There's just a huge difference in a player either breaking a bone or suffering an injury where they're giving the thumbs up or they're being stabilized, they're awake, they're conscious, they're able, like you're like, okay, they're in a stable condition. They're going to the hospital, and I know that's callous to think about. It's like, okay, but he's gonna be patched up. He's gonna his life is not in the balance, right? Maybe his football career is in the balance, which is also sad, but his life is not in the Damar Hamlin situation was so unprecedented. To have a player be unresponsive for 9 minutes.
Because you haven't had that since like the 70s, right? Because it's Charlie Hughes of the Lions. Like, and he had a heart attack and unfortunately he passed away, did he not? Like at the hospital, is pronounced?
So, yeah.
But and I know they played the game, but it's also a radically different game now. It's a radically different era. And I feel like, I mean, you saw it with Shazier, a significant injury. I mean, Packers have seen it with Jonathan Franklin. They've seen it with Jermichael Finley. Like, we've seen people who have been carted off. Hell, even Tevin Jenkins from earlier this year on the Bears, right? So, like, he had to get carted off as well. Like, it's, I think, become such, I don't want to put it in a normal part of the game, but, like, it's, oh, man, they're injured. Hopefully they're okay. They take, like, a brief timeout, and then they keep playing. The thing that stood out to me, and this is what Brandon and I talked about yesterday on GPS, is that football, for the first time, like in my viewing life, stopped. And I don't think I've seen that before, because like someone mentioned before about like 9/11, right? And they postponed the games and, they pushed them back. And that made a lot of sense, right? Because you have this. Here it was like mid-game, just no more game. And that's it. And I think that for a lot of people, football has been one of those constants in which it's like it's always there, regardless of what's going on. Natural disasters are happening, right? You have
we made it through the pandemic.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, NFL season didn't happen. If that happened, NFL would have.
Yeah. So like the pandemic happens. Absolutely. I mean, you're talking about the Bills. Didn't they have also the mass shooting at the Tops grocery store? Like there's so many things that football has been an escape for people. And like you could not get away from it on Monday night. And I think like that's what makes it so different, because you thought, oh God, did I just watch someone pass away on the field? And I mean, technically the guy's heart stopped. And I think like that was just, it was a lot for people. And I think like that's what makes this situation so different, when you kind of have these scenarios where there's serious injuries, but I don't think it's ever been as prolonged as the one that we saw on Monday night.
No, and I think like Alex Smith's situation was one of those things that visually we knew was really bad. But we've seen players like this, how desensitized we are. Like we've seen players break their arms or legs. We've seen those arms or legs being bent in the wrong direction, and we know it's bad. And we're like, with breaks, a lot of times they can look really bad, and you're like, you know what? But there's a good chance they'll be back because it's not an ACL. Like you can heal from a broken bone before that. But then Alex Smith's situation, he's carted off the field. The game goes on. But then we had no idea what was going on after that we didn't know until months later that he nearly died because of infections in his leg. And because he went, I forget, he has 11 surgeries on his leg after that. Yeah. And we saw, was it a year later when Dak broke his leg, and we knew that was bad. And then we learned, like after he had returned to the field, he kind of shared that he had to have a couple surgeries as well, and that it wasn't, like as smooth as we might have believed, because we kind of forget about those things. But it does happen, not to this extent. We've never seen it, but there are just varying degrees of injuries, and it's why you do not play friggin' armchair doctor and pretend like whether it's a concussion or a broken bone or whatever, because once they're off the field, we kind of forget. But that person's going through a lot, and there's just no way to predict the severity of it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we're gone from the days where the Madden ambulance just runs onto the field and runs over a few players.
Hey, that was funny though.
That was funny, but that was what, 1992. So we've come a long way.
Those were funny times though.
From digital pixelated ambulance running over players on the way to pick up another player who had been.
That should happen though.
Yeah. That's
for the Twitter comments.
Yeah, that would be hilarious. Remember that time that I think it was in Dallas, the runaway golf cart, and it just sped down the middle of the field and just
And
hit
like a dude
that
broke
poor...
his leg.
Yeah. And then
it was like the medical cart, because it was bigger than a golf cart, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Just barreling through like unsuspecting like coaches and people in the middle of the field.
Yeah, and one guy actually happens to like get hit, and then he lands in the driver's seat, and he's the reason that it stops. It was just such a surreal moment of all time. But I think, to go back to the original point, like if we stopped the game for every injury, or like I don't know. I guess it's kind of selfish in us, and this is why players deserve more medical attention and benefits. It's like selfish of us when we see a player go down, or like, all right, just get him off the field so we can resume the game. Like when we're all watching, we're very we're caught in the moment. Like we want the game. We're only focusing on the game, and we often just forget about. It's like when a side character dies in a movie, and you're like, what about his family and everything? Like one of the Batman's henchmen gets beat up by the Batman, and you're like, wow, he's gonna have to be in the hospital for years now because of the Batman. I don't know.
I've never thought about that with a side character.
You don't think about the side character that dies, and I'm like, we just move on from that? What about that person's family?
I don't think that way during.
Well, I don't think. I mean, if you're a henchman, you probably really don't have a family. You're probably just like an underling to.
But I just find it ironic.
You probably just don't have
their family though.
That's
what Batman doesn't kill, but he will break a guy's arm in 4 places and just leave him there.
Did Bane think of Batman when he broke his back and threw him in a South American prison? Of course not.
Circling back to the NFL, what do you guys think? Let's look bigger picture. NFL playoffs now. 5, your team is in the playoffs for the first time in 8 years. Is that
6 years? 6 years. Come on, give us some credit.
What are the vibes? Did you expect to be here? What's the feeling as we head into week 17?
I think it's a relief, because now I know what we're going to do going forward with Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley. Like at the beginning of the season, there's a lot of questions around those 2 guys. Like, do we bring these guys back? Do we pay them their money? And now it's pretty obvious what you like. Daniel Jones has done more with less this year. He's shown that he's an athletic quarterback that can make all the throws. They've controlled the turnovers. It's kind of like, wow, Kaylee, $100. Thank you. It's kind of like Eli Manning, not to the same, level, but there were a lot of questions about Manning in his first 3 years, whether he could take the Giants to the next level. And he went out and won a Super Bowl, and then you knew you had your guy. I think that's hopefully what we have with Jones. Is like, all right, he took a crappy, terrible roster to the playoffs, and let's see what he can do. So
you're okay if they offer this man an 8-year contract next year?
I don't think they'll give him 8 years. It'll be like 5,
But
like,
you're okay.
It'll be like, hey, Daniel.
He's the guy. You're okay with him being the guy?
I think they wanted to giving him like a 3-year deal.
He's the guy?
Like yeah.
Now, let's transition to Tree. You guys still have a shot. I mean, the Packers, everyone here except the Broncos is either going to the playoffs or has a shot at making the playoffs. Tree,
lucky.
Where are we at? What needs to happen? What are you feeling?
I don't know. Let's ask Brandon's chair.
Hey, it's the Don Draper sign thing. I got him.
Bring that back up. Bring.
Oh yeah, let's take a look at that. I mean, you got all the Broncos stuff. Jake Plummer. It's just a lot of sadness. There's some liquor in the background, which is like nearly fully drunk because of how bad the season's been. Athletic Greens. Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I see the empty cup right there next to
there
the
are a couple empty cup. There's some liquor, and there's probably like a growler there too. All the good stuff. But I will say the Steelers are BSing their way to the Super Bowl again. It's even worse than last year. I don't know how we're doing it, but yeah, there's a strong chance, because guess what? The Patriots playing the Bills and the Dolphins look terrible.
What needs to happen for the Steelers to get in?
Steelers win, Dolphins lose, Patriots lose. Those 3 things happen. They get the 7th seed. Exactly.
Those are
That's
all
the
very
playing their
remarkable.
backup, right? Are they even playing Teddy Bridgewater against the Jets?
I don't know. It might be Skylar Thompson.
Yeah, I think it might be Thompson. So like,
And the
yeah,
Jets have been punched in the mouth. They
Yes.
feel like they have been destroyed.
Now-
If they can take out a team in their destination, they'll do it.
Do you want to make the playoffs?
I mean, at this point, we are probably going to get destroyed by the Chiefs. So,
Didn't it happen last
I
year?
would rather just, and we're going to get destroyed.
Was it worth it?
45-7. No,
It was worth it.
It was not.
It's worth it. It's like an expensive vacation.
Do
Like,
you
it
want
didn't
to
The only
do
reason we
but-
made
the
it last year was because
playoffs?
Indy crapped the bed.
Do you want to make the playoffs, Tree? Yes or no?
So we can BS our way to the Super Bowl? Absolutely. Let's go.
Okay, that's fair. Now,
You gotta
Tom,
enter to win.
what needs to happen so that
You guys
the
done talking about the
Packers
playoffs yet?
make the playoffs?
Nope. Get up and leave, Brandon. You're not allowed.
we have to win. That's it.
I
So
hope
if
you lose.
win, you're in.
That's correct.
And if you lose, can you still make it?
No.
No, don't you have to have Seattle lose before
No.
the game?
No, Seattle.
That's the Lions.
That's
The Lions need the so right now the way that it's right now it is Seattle's currently the 7th seed. Okay.
Okay.
Lions are the 8th seed, Packers are the 9th seed. The Lions have the tiebreaker over the Packers right now because they beat them earlier this
Yes.
year. If the Packers beat the Lions, then they'll have strength of victory, like they'll be
Yeah.
able to pass them. They will also then catapult over the Seahawks because the Packers will have a better conference record than the Seahawks. So they'll beat the tiebreaker there. If the Seahawks win, the Lions cannot make the playoffs.
Yep.
The Packers would make the playoffs.
I-
If the Seahawks lose, then Sunday night is winning in for both the Lions and Packers.
I will say this though. All this means is the 7th seed is an abomination to man and should not exist.
I don't disagree. I'm very happy the Packers could make the playoffs. Like I'm very happy. I just don't like the 7th seed.
Honestly, neither team really deserves it. We both started 3-7.
So
That is bad.
4-8. We were
Do you
4-8,
think-
and now we're 8-8. That's all I could say.
do you
Packers
think
run the
this
table.
Last game, Tom, do you think has any bearing on what Aaron Rodgers is going to do going forward in his future?
I think he's coming back next year. So no.
I think if
Yeah.
it's a tie, I think does
Seattle.
Detroit get Seattle?
Nope. Seattle gets in.
Oh my gosh. That
Because
would
think
be
about it. Because no,
crazy.
think about it this way.
No,
because-
if it's like both, if Seattle loses and Green Bay and
Then
Detroit, I
I
want to
don't
say
know.
I think Green Bay does
Well,
because they
when
control
we-
their own destiny.
because if they both tie, so then we would be what
Let's take a look.
8-1.
Seahawks lose,
Yes.
and then Packers. Lions would actually make it if they tie.
Lions would get it if it's
Interesting.
tie.
Yeah,
As long as Seahawks lose beforehand.
yes.
The craziest thing about this whole situation is that the Dallas Cowboys can still be the #1 seed this week.
Oh,
Make
buddy,
it
that's
about
not happening.
Dallas.
I'm sorry.
And the
Honestly,
thing is, it is
Just
viable.
watch it be that the Eagles
it's
lose and
viable.
you somehow
The,
lose to
the
Sam Howell.
Giants are
Just
not
watch that
going to
happen.
play
Buddy,
hard.
The Giants
in
are
that
playing
game.
on, but even if they do, let's just say the Giants pull off a miracle.
Giants
You
beat the
have the
Eagles.
49ers playing against who are the Cardinals starting at this point? I think they
David
pulled some
Blau.
random.
David
There you
Blau.
go.
I like the
Former
Cardinals.
Lion.
I like
Former
the Cardinals.
Purdue Boilermaker and Detroit Lions.
No
David
DeAndre
Blau.
Hopkins. Yeah, it's
And
going to be.
It's playing Sam Howell.
Yeah.
Hey,
I don't
Sam
think-
Howell did well in the preseason, buddy.
Are these
I think Sam Howell's their best quarterback, to be honest.
in
Better
the
than Carson Wentz.
I want the Cowboys to get this #2 seed so badly. So badly.
so that they play the
Packers if the Packers get in.
Oh wow.
I
That
want
would
that
be
too.
great.
So that
I
we
want
can
it
beat
so
Aaron
bad.
Rodgers.
But they can't be the #2
can't-
seed, can they?
No, technically they could because if the 49ers lose and the Eagles win and the Cowboys win, I think that would.
No, the 2 seed is for a division winner though. You can't be a wild card at the 2 seed.
Oh, that's right.
It's
So the
not
Eagles would
possible.
have to. Oh, yeah. So the Eagles would have to lose. 49ers would have to win, and then Cowboys.
So the Niners would have to be the #1 overall, and the
'Cause they
Cowboys
still
would have
could
to
play
win
the
the
two-
NFC East.
They could still get the 2 seed. So yeah, they'd have to win the
Yes.
division. The 49ers would have to be the 1 seed, and then the Vikings and just do whatever the Vikings. win.
Yes.
Okay.
The Vikings
So-
are
Crazy
gonna
math.
lose so bad
Crazy
in the
math.
playoffs. Poor
Mhm.
Vikings fans.
Yeah. What were we talking about? We're on a
You're
show.
talking about
Sports?
Brandon's chair and all the.
Yeah.
levers
So
he's
how are
trying
the
to-
Broncos doing?
Yeah, have you been looking at mock
Oh,
drafts?
we're doing just just great right now. The Kansas City Chiefs can barely beat us, so that looks pretty bad for the Chiefs. We're gonna get the newest, best coach, who just
Not
like
Jim Harbaugh.
all the
Not
previous
Jimmy
coaches
Harbaugh.
before them are gonna fix everything.
Yeah.
We got the 49ers draft pick, so when they win the Super Bowl, we'll be picking last in the first round, but it will be the first round. A lot of good.
Would you be
going
okay
on.
with Sean Payton as your coach?
No, he's going to the Cowboys.
I'd prefer Jim Harbaugh over Sean Payton, I think, because of you're gonna have to give up stuff to get Sean Payton. I don't think Jim Harbaugh's 100% going back to Michigan
He's
yet.
a little non-committal.
Yeah, but why would he leave Michigan? He would never get fired there.
$20 million a year might change his mind.
College co-eds are getting a little boring for him. That's
20 mil. That's what Belichick makes. Walmart,
20 mil.
They swing a big checkbook. Okay, big checkbook. Walmart does, and they could leave that thing blank and put it in front of Harbaugh. Might change his mind. Now, it seems like he's leaning towards going back to college. So, don't know. I don't know what they're gonna like. The last couple coaching searches, we knew one or two guys they were really keen on. No clue, none whatsoever.
Now, what about Nathaniel Hackett?
Should he?
I haven't thought about that yet, but
he's
I
under contract.
I think there's a way.
Really, because you're already paying him, so like you might as well say like come back and do something.
Here's if he
Clean the
accepts for
urinals.
$0 a year and we just pay him his old contract, they can make it work. Here's an interesting thing I saw today, though. Okay, and Mike Silver tweeted it, so take it for what it's worth. But Sean Payton is really trying to attach himself to Vic Fangio as his defensive coordinator. And so Broncos fans have been under the impression that it will be a cold day in hell before Fangio comes back to Denver as DC.
So. To be
Mike
honest
Silver
with you, though, Fangio and Shermer were eons better than Nathaniel Hackett. That's all I'm going to say.
They're saying Fangio might not be opposed to coming back as defensive coordinator because of the situation that's changed in Denver with ownership, the resources they would have. Don't know if I don't know if that's true, but it would be weird. I mean, part of me kind of just wants to see it happen.
What if you welcome back the king, Pat Shermer, and just be like, you know what, buddy? Head coach now.
Listen, the Giants, we would take Steve Spagnuolo back as DC any day of the week.
Yeah,
I don't think he's leaving KC though.
Yeah, I know, but like, I guess it's. I mean, it could be awkward, but the dude was a good coordinator.
Broncos have a lot of options. Greg Roman, they have Todd Downing that they could sign. Matt Canada. I mean,
Matt Haley available.
Yeah, I think he is. Matt Patricia.
Matt Patricia,
Joe Judge. Joe Judge has experience. He just didn't,
I think Mike McCoy's still lying somewhere. He got carried by Peyton Manning.
Are you guys searching for a
He's not gonna
GM?
be doing anything next year?
Are you guys looking for a GM too?
I think Dave Campo's available.
Yeah, Adam Gase.
Gettleman.
Adam Gase.
Dave Gettleman. Hire that guy as your GM. Maybe Vinny Serrato could be workable. Ben McAdoo. Yeah. Actually, McAdoo's working
got
for
a
who?
little bit of time left for this stream.
Well,
I say before we show the video for Uche, we all go around and say before the playoffs begin what our prediction is going to be, our pre-playoff prediction. Who makes it in? Who wins the Super Bowl? What's
no.
matchup?
Let's just predict who the final seeds are.
You're so miserable.
Sure.
Who gets in? How about that?
Sure.
It's a little. We're putting the cart before the horse to go Super Bowl.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's just go around and say, who do we think actually makes the playoffs?
Yeah, who's that seventh seed?
Well, I think the Jaguars are going to destroy the Titans on Saturday. So they'll win the division and get in. And then I think you're getting Steelers, Packers. Well, let's go Super Bowl 45 rematch.
Yes.
And then it'll be the
and
greatest
that, as I said, I was saying this, I guarantee it. What's going to happen? You and I, we're going to rent a bar somewhere. We're just going to play it there. We'll just do it there. We'll have like the stream. We'll have the super chats. We'll have all that stuff.
We'll have everything.
Let's go.
Yes.
Let's go.
I'd be so down. That would be the most wild stream ever.
Like, I feel like I'd go topless and just do a mosh pit in the floor. Like, it'd be a mess.
A field goal.
It'd be
You're like,
so
what?
bad.
All right.
Let's go.
I'll come to that, by the way.
It would be a time. It would be a time.
I think the Jaguars get in. I think what's the other team gets in? In the AFC.
Visual
It
aid.
would be New England, Miami, or Pittsburgh.
Yeah, the Jaguars are gonna get in. I think the Patriots sneak in because that's just Belichick doing the Belichick things. I don't think the Steelers get in. I think that they just, whatever. On the flip side, I know that
I want to be destroyed by the Chiefs. Come on.
I've heard some rumors that the script writers are going to have Seattle lose. Like that's already, even though they're going to lose to the Rams. And that's going to set up a showdown between the Lions and the Packers Sunday night. And finally, the Lions are tired of getting bullied by Aaron Rodgers, and they fight hard and they lose in the last minute, and the Packers go.
That sounds like Detroit
playoffs, because that's Aaron Rodgers is the Lions' daddy, and he pulls it out of his tuchus in the end. And I just want to see it all for the marbles. I want to see Detroit playing for a playoff berth.
I do too,
because that's their idea of winning is playing for a playoff berth and watching Matt Stafford.
You have to consider with Detroit too. I mean, even if they don't make the playoffs, I feel like Dan Campbell's going to have them go hard and just like, you know what?
Go hard.
Yeah.
I'd kill the Packers. Just kill them.
Yeah, the Lions right now, like they are in a win-win situation. Obviously, they'd love to make the playoffs and like that would be ideal, but considering they were like projected to not be great this year and they've turned their season around from 1-6 and now to get to the point where they're contending for a playoff spot, like I've been saying it now, like they're gonna be a problem. And then next year, like J-Mo's gonna be fully healthy. They have a top 5 pick from the Rams, like, or was it 7 now? It might be number 7. So like they're gonna be a problem.
6. They're at 6.
They're at 6.
Either way.
6, I mean, you can get a solid piece.
Yeah, they'll be good.
Brandon.
Okay. Lions are gonna. Well, I mean, I picked the Packers to sneak in officially in my picks yesterday, but I think the Lions get in, and I think the Dolphins take the final spot because I feel like
they're going to beat the Jets.
I think, yeah. I mean, what are they starting? Skylar Thompson, maybe Teddy Bridgewater. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna go with the Dolphins. I'd rather see the Dolphins in there.
Without Tua.
I wouldn't mind seeing. I don't want to see the Steelers, and it's just because of the brand of football they have.
Well, it's also like it's gonna be a bad football game. It's gonna be like
bad.
If we make the playoffs, we're losing to the Chiefs or to the Bills, 45-3.
You guys are the Broncos, basically.
I can't wait for that.
But you won.
I can't wait for
it's not even the Broncos. We don't have a good offensive line.
We're probably going to pay the 49ers in the first round if we make it.
If the Steelers get in, are you going to stream their first round matchup?
I will. I'll stream it, and I'll probably die and say like this team sucked and we didn't deserve to make it and hate the 7th seed, and we're going to BS our way to the 7th seed either way. I think it's going to be the most scripted outcome possible of the big market teams with big global and national audiences and the Steelers and Packers. Let's go. And we're going to lose in the first round like men. Or go to the Super Bowl.
Oh, go Super Bowl.
What's your playoff prediction, Scooter McGrew?
Well, first of all, it's going to be Cowboys, Jags in the Super Bowl. You heard it here first. Let's just start there.
Jaguars.
Cowboys, Jags in the Super Bowl. We're going to get our mid-season revenge.
Okay.
I don't even know about – I don't think the Patriots are going to win. The Bills are going to come through with a fervor like we've never seen before. I like the Dolphins, too, over the Jets. Jets have nothing to play for, even with a backup. Throw it up to Tyreek. Let's see what happens. I like the Lions over the Packers because Aaron Rodgers is a witch and his powers have run out. And I like the Seahawks. Seahawks, Lions getting in.
We'll see Lions.
Only one of them can
Only one of those gets in.
Only one of those teams can get in. So
Seahawks have to
The
lose.
Sea Lions.
between the
I choose Sea Lions.
Oh, I
to
choose
get
the
in.
Sea Lions too.
Then it's the Seahawks. Then
Why doesn't the
Okay.
team have a mascot as Sea Lion? That would be
wait. So
fun.
if the Seahawks win, then the Packers are out.
No, if the
Packers
Seahawks
will
win, the
mess them.
Lions are out. Then the
Yes.
Packers are winning in. But if the Seahawks win and the Packers
I'm
lose,
telling you, the writers got together and they're like, Seahawks are going to lose. They have their.
Well,
they
Seahawks
have
are going to lose, Dolphins are going to lose, and Patriots are going to lose.
Can I just
Dude,
ask a
all the
quick
storylines
question?
with Buffalo and Damar
Yes.
Hamlin? Come on.
is what was likely to be the wild card matchup of the Cowboys and Buccaneers going to be the most hated game in America that weekend? Like you have the Cowboys and Tom Brady. That's going to be.
I mean, I'm going to be honest with you.
There's no one to root for there.
And also, we get the new
nuclear
overtime
weapon.
rules too. So
Oh yes.
we get new overtime rules
Well,
because of
what's
the
probably
playoffs.
going to happen is the
Yeah.
Cowboys score a touchdown, and then Tom Brady capitalizes on that, scores a touchdown, then they go for 2 and win. I could
Tree.
totally see that
Tree,
happening.
relax, Tree, relax.
No,
Have you
I'm
seen
just saying
Tom
'cause
Brady
this is
play?
on brand for both Brady and the Cowboys. It just is.
Relax. This is a new year.
A
new
year.
Cowboys.
You've been
team.
saying this since
We
2014.
are starting our dynasty
on.
today.
Okay.
Like the
Okay,
television
starts
show.
now.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Can
Yeah,
Should we
can
share
move
what we've raised so far,
Yes.
and then
Yes.
we'll
And
we'll
I
end
got
the
another
video playing.
$500 from Sharon IB.
Wow.
Jeez.
Wow.
There you go.
Thank you.
I was able to raise $393. Thank you all for your support.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. And it's also tax deductible. So thank you all for contributing.
I'm at 125 right now.
Not bad. Congratulations, bro.
There you
Brandon,
go.
what are you at, sir?
we have done 888
Wow. Let's
888
go.
for the American Foundation of Suicide Prevention, the charity that Uche supported. Thank you guys so much. That is just awesome.
I'm at $1.7 thousand.
Wow.
There you
Let's
go.
go.
There you go.
All right. And my punishment to everyone that donated on this stream, you need to tell everyone that you know that you love them dearly and you will miss them if they go. That's all I'm going to say.
That's a fair
Amen.
punishment.
Tom, how much did you do, sir?
We have done $1,500.
Not bad.
Yes. Let's go.
And that is the punishment. Once again, you need
Wow.
to tell everyone that you know that you love them. There you go.
That was almost $5,000, right?
Yeah.
Cumulatively.
The chat
Something
is
close.
undefeated.
The chat,
It
you are
is.
the real
Yes,
MVPs.
thank you very much.
I love all of you. And speaking of that, just to transition, Uche, I'm gonna put a link in the description in the
For his
chat
channel.
for his channel. 2 days ago, Tom had the idea of getting his channel to 100K subscribers, so that his family can have the 100K plaque. He had only 21,000 subs at the time. He'd worked his butt off for those 21,000 subs.
Oh, yeah.
He was grinding, and he really took YouTube seriously. We're at 57,000 right now. Let's get him to 100K so we can send him off with 57.5 right now. We're not that far off, guys. We can do this. So that would be a nice tribute to Uche, and we would greatly appreciate that.
Definitely.
So without further ado, let's remember our friend who appeared on this show.
He was for
and-
NFL draft,
yeah.
I think, right?
Yep.
Yep.
And we'll send you off, and we'll see you guys next week. I love y'all.
Definitely. Love you too, guys.
Well, I heard there was a secret chord that David played and it pleased the Lord. But you don't really care for music, do you? Well, it goes like this: the fourth, the fifth, the minor fall and the major lift. The baffled king composing hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. faith was strong, but you needed proof. You saw her bathing on the roof, her beauty and the moonlight overthrew you. And she tied you to her kitchen chair, and she broke your throne and she cut your hair, and from your lips she drew the hallelujah, 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 baby, I've been here before. I've seen this room and I've walked this floor. You know, I used to live alone before I knew you. And I've seen your flag on the marble arch, and love is not a victory march. It's a cold and it's a broken hallelujah, hallelujah. There was a time when you let me know what's really going on below, but now you never show that to me, do you? But remember when I moved in you, and the holy dove was moving too, and every breath we drew is how